Hey, I'm Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and we're continuing our series, Questions That Every Home Buyer Should Ask. I'm here with Dan Keller, branch manager and loan officer with Guild Mortgage, one of the best in the Seattle area. He's going to keep answering your questions. So the question here for you, Dan, is what is the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval?
Yeah, so great question. I think where we're at right now as we migrate into 2019, the whole idea of getting pre-qualified is kind of almost extinct. I would say back in the day, you would call up a mortgage professional or you would call your bank and say, I'm thinking about buying a house. What do you think I qualify for? That's the whole idea of the word qualification. What do you think I qualify for? Where what I do is I take it a step further. I've never just qualified somebody. I think, if you're out at a restaurant or bar and you're with a buddy and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house, and you're having a beer, just casual talking, and I don't really want to pay more than $3,000 a month, and I got about $50,000 for a down payment. That's kind of like a informal pre-qualification.
And I do that sometimes. People ask me those questions.
And that's essentially how loose, if you will, a pre-qualification is compared to the entire process. What we do in my office, and which is fairly standard now in the industry, is a formal pre-approval. And so a pre-approval is where you fill out an online application or you take a formal written application with a mortgage company and they run your credit. And what they're also going to do is they're going to gather some income documentation and current income and employment documentation plus some past income documentation review like tax returns, W-2s, pay stubs. And so by looking at that, they will kind of calculate your debt to income ratio, and then they'll look at your bank statements to see what kind of money. They'll verify that, hey, although your buddy had $50,000 to put down, we'll verify that you have $50,000 plus the reserves necessary for you to qualify for that loan program. Now that's kind of standard in the industry. What we do is much different. We've already done that. You're already in the door. I continue the process into what's called a full pre-underwrite.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so that's really how I wanted to answer this question. Is the underwriting process is what every bank goes through before they fund your loan. That's the judge saying you're guilty or you're not guilty, you're approved or not approved, right? And so what we do is we do that up front.
Okay.
You have to understand that in 2016, Fannie Mae, the #1 insurer of mortgages in the United States, released a study. They surveyed thousands of home buyers. And through that survey, the home buyers gave their mortgage experience a subpar rating, meaning their transactions didn't close on time. They weren't thoroughly or properly educated. Well, part of that, they dug a little deeper, and it was literally 6 out of 10 transactions did not close on time.
Wow.
Either they closed late or they didn't close at all. And that's because more of the weight was put on the pre-approval, pre-qualification versus verifying everything up front.
That's huge.
Yeah, so the underwriting process is going to pull 4506T tax transcripts to verify the taxes that you filed were legit or that they actually are in accordance with the income calculation that we produce. Also, they're going to do a full verification of employment for the past 2 years. There's a lot of things like that they're going to verify. Then lastly, depending on the loan program that they're choosing to use for buying this house, there are different guidelines associated with that. So then they're going to then overlay those guidelines on top of that pre-underwrite to make sure 100% you can close that transaction. And so this bulletproofs the process. If you're fully underwritten up front, there's no chance of error other than either you, the borrower, spending your down payment cash or you getting fired or terminated from your job. That's the only way it could go sideways if you prepare that way.
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, I always have my clients make sure that they get that full pre-underwrite, and if they're super chomping at the bit, we got to at least have the pre-approval.
And it just gives you it gives you the peace of mind that it's already going to get stressful. The emotions of buying a house, once you actually get out shopping and you get your offer accepted and you have the inspection and the appraisal. Oh, by the way, you still got to go to work every single day, right? So you got a lot going on. Throw in a lender going, hey, I need these documents from you, and I need them by the end of business. And you're like, well, dude, I don't know I changed employers. I don't know how to get a hold of my W-2s from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't need that added stress. That's why we do it all up front.
Yep.
And then the most important thing, I think, is just negotiating power.
Oh,
When you call up or when you're negotiating and you have me call up the listing agent and say, hey,
clutch.
the Smiths have been fully underwritten and approved. Get me a contract. Let's order an appraisal and we're ready to close.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty important and pretty valuable.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, working with buyers and sellers are like, well, are they pre-approved? Like, do they have that done?
Yeah.
And buyers might think, oh yeah, it doesn't really matter. But if you're a buyer and you're trying to make an offer, especially in a competitive market, if you don't have a pre-approval at minimum, seller's just not even going to consider your offer until it's finalized. So definitely a good idea to get that taken care of. Thanks again for tuning in, and thanks again for coming on and giving us some of your time. If you guys like Dan and you want to subscribe to his channel, we'll link it up down below. You can also find him by searching Dan Keller in YouTube. And again, of course, if you like these videos and you want to see more like this, please consider subscribing to my channel as well. Thanks for watching.